Can vape cause cancer? How much do I vape? I vape at least, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours every day. I wake up in the morning and I like to get a fresh air into my lungs. And, it's vaporized water and I get a very nice flavor, which is cranberry. I have it imported, so it's healthy. And I vape when I'm bored, I vape when I'm hungry. I vape after the gym also, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. One day they say that Diet Coke is better than Coke. Next day, Diet Coke is worse than Coke. Then you have naturally sweetened sodas, and they say that's better. Then someone comes up and says, no, these are also bad for you. So have soda without anything in it, and then someone comes and says no, have sparkling water, that's healthier. So everything keeps going through this sort of up and down when it comes to what is healthy and what's unhealthy.
Try to avoid all so called modifiable risk factors. Do all that you can do as an individual to get away from all these possible risk factors. Keep yourself safe. Because, see, you can't change your genetic makeup. You are born with certain set of genes. You can't change your family history. But herein we are talking about the risk factors which are entirely under your control. The lifestyle that you choose to adopt, the habits that you form, the behavioral patterns that you make, isn't it? That's entirely under your control.
What is healthy? Sometimes I find that classification of healthy versus unhealthy the most confusing and complicated thing to navigate for my well being. Because everything has a makeover and keeps shifting around. One day they say that Diet Coke is better than Coke. Next day, Diet Coke is worse than Coke. Then you have naturally sweetened sodas, and they say that's better. Then someone comes up and says, no, these are also bad for you. So have soda without anything in it, and then someone comes and says no, have sparkling water, that's healthier. So everything keeps going through this sort of up and down when it comes to what is healthy and what's unhealthy. And that makes me worry a lot, not just as a health journalist, but also as a person who's invested in her own health. Because what if I'm having something which I believe is healthy, but it's actually not? And this case sort of came to my notice quite recently. In fact, I was at a pulmonologist's office in Delhi, and Sir had just met a patient, and that patient, at the age of 32, which is younger than me by a good 4 years, had developed significant scarring in their lungs and was on their way to have COPD. And that's actually a very, very difficult disease to bear at such a young age, because it'll definitely limit the quality of your life. And the person had been coming for about 8 or 9 appointments, and they'd been trying to figure out, like, how did a person who's 32 develop something like this? Is it the pollution? Is it, something in the person's lifestyle, genetics? So they did everything. They took a very, very detailed case history. So the patient came and said, no, I'm extremely healthy. I work out, I eat all the right things. I have never smoked. I have never touched a tobacco. There's no one in my house who smokes, so there's no secondhand smoke. I do yoga. I go to the Pahar for mental health breaks and retreats. I get massages. I do everything. And it was quite, baffling for the doctors, because they just couldn't find a cause. And this young boy, his parents wanted a cause, so they kept saying, no, there's something wrong with this doctor. This doctor doesn't know anything. How can he not find out? How can someone like this just develop a problem? And then the day I had gone was the day the talk just somehow came up about vape. And the patient just confessed, or rather just said in a very dismissive manner, as if it's not a big deal at all, yes, of course I vape. I've been vaping for a long time. How much do I vape? I vape at least, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours every day. I wake up in the morning and I like to get a fresh air into my lungs. and it's vaporized water, and I get a very nice flavor, which is cranberry. I have it imported, so it's healthy. And yeah, I vape when I'm bored. I vape when I'm hungry. I vape after the gym also, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. And when the doctor actually said this to me, for a while, even I couldn't make that link between COPD and vape, because even in my head somewhere, I mean, I know it's not the best thing, but I also don't think it's something that's going to cause a serious lung disease, not something like COPD, and certainly never something like cancer, which is why we have with us today the lead medical oncologist and precision oncologist for Apollo Hospitals, Delhi. Her name is Dr. Jyoti Wadhwa. And the reason I have her is to tell me the truth. Can vape cause cancer?
So thank you, Sonali, for having me over today. And thank you for choosing this topic of vaping, especially in relation to its association with cancer as well, if at all. And this, I feel, has been a neglected topic till now. We know it's more recent phenomenon compared to tobacco smoking, as you pointed out, but it's upcoming. It's a matter of public health concern, and it needs to be discussed more often. So, thank you for choosing this topic, and thank you for bringing it up for discussion on this platform today.
When did you sort of start to realize that there is a link between vape and cancer? And is there one?
So, see, as I mentioned, we have for many, many decades, known the association between tobacco, smoking, and lung cancer in particular, and now many more cancers. So, tobacco is a known carcinogen, cancer causing agent. And WHO, the World Health Organization, and International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, they have documented tobacco as a group 1 carcinogen. Now, in addition, in 2013, they also declared air pollution as a group 1 carcinogen. But till date, vaping has not been labeled as a cancer causing agent. And the reasons are more than one. One, because, and most important, I believe, is because vaping is a more recent phenomenon. Commercially available vapes became available after 2007, more around 2010, I would say. And we know it takes many, many years for cancers to develop. It can take anywhere from 10 to 30 years for cancer to develop. And therefore, you can realize that the epidemiologic studies checking the relationship between vape or any risk factor and cancer causation will take those many years. And therefore, they need to be done over long periods of time. So, we haven't had vaping as a practice or as a habit for those many years. And therefore, it will take a while before we come up with human studies to link vape directly with lung cancer.
Yeah.
So, but before, we can't just be waiting for those studies to document the association. We know what vapors contain. We have identified the chemicals. So, we know that some of them are known carcinogens. So, some of the chemicals that the vapor of vape contains are known to cause cancer. So, therefore, it's a real possibility that in the end we may be able to prove this link and association. Till then, we have to play safe and therefore avoid.
You know,
Because it's not just lung cancer, as in the case that you cited just now, you said that the person, because he was vaping, and obviously because we live in a polluted city where air pollution is so bad, therefore, all these factors combined together do increase the risk of so many other ailments. Cancer is not the only matter of concern. COPD, there are cardiac issues which can happen. There are so many psychosocial issues which can arise because of vaping. So, therefore, if you want to live a healthy life, which we all should aim for, we need to keep away from any possible risk factor, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think For me, what was so fascinating is when I started researching on vape, is how it appeals to your psychology to want tasty things. Like it taps into your food psychology. It's not really tapping into
Right.
your need to smoke as such. So the flavors like coffee, and you have caramel latte coffee flavored vape. Now it sounds so nice that even I feel like, and remember hookahs used to be like this at one
Yes.
point. Mint and green apple hookahs. They were like the big thing when I was growing up, and it's so alluring. So I did come across so many blogs of people or Instagram reels of people saying, "Oh yeah, I wake up in the morning. I don't drink coffee because coffee is dehydrating, but I have my salted caramel latte vape." But vape can also be dehydrating, right?
Yeah, so all these names, as you pointed out, they are meant to attract. What's the kind of population that's being, aimed? So the young children, adolescents, teenagers, isn't it? Young adults. So the more they are more they are at an age which is more impressionable, and they do get attracted by the influence of social media and under peer influence by these attractive things. So they are meant to attract them, and they do fall a prey, I would
Yeah,
say, to
yeah,
these titles
yeah.
or the nomenclature. But therefore, it's so very important to make them all aware that vape, which was initially introduced as a harmless way to get people away from nicotine addiction, may end up turning you into a nicotine and other addicts, isn't it? And you may not be smoking tobacco. You may start with seemingly harmless vaping, and you may end up becoming a smoking or tobacco addict as well, isn't it? So the harms are going to be multifold. You stayed away from tobacco smoke, but you wanted to stay away, but you ended up taking up vaping, and then ultimately, leading to the nicotine
Yeah.
addiction and its harmful effects. So,
I really like to play devil's advocate every now and then. So I'm going to play the part of somebody who actively supports vaping. And my argument to you is this, that I don't want to live forever, anyways. I'm going to die sooner or later. I might as well enjoy today and have my vape.
I would then, if you say so, I would like to tell you there are so many more safer ways to enjoy life than vaping. Why risk at all? And here I'm not talking like an oncologist. I would say I am talking like a doctor first and foremost. That vaping, leave alone the cancer risk. Let's forget that for some time. There are so many other ill effects on the health, the addiction, the habit itself, the psychosocial effects. It can lead to, you started thinking that it will reduce your stress levels, it will reduce the anxiety levels, but ultimately that addiction itself will be the biggest concern, biggest source for the same stress and anxiety. It can increase the heart rate, it can lead to high blood pressure. The vapors in the vape they are known to cause, they are proven to cause lung damage. So we call this EVOLI. So e-cigarette and vaping associated lung injury. What do we see on x-rays and scans then is what we call, because of one of the chemicals which is present in the vapor, it's called popcorn lungs. See, they look like that on the imaging. So obviously, that's quite debilitating illness itself. Somebody is not able to breathe normally.
Yeah.
The blood is not getting enough oxygenation. So it will limit your capacity to work, and it will be a cause for a lot of discomfort on daily basis, isn't it?
Yeah. Another very popular argument is the fact that the air I'm breathing is so bad anyway. You know, apparently every year we get a new study. Okay, it's equivalent to 50 cigarettes or 10 cigarettes or
Yeah.
20 cigarettes a day. I don't know what the real study actually says because every headline has a different one. But I'm aware that the air I'm breathing is bad. So what's wrong? Let me, have flavored vape instead.
So, very well said that air we are breathing is anyways bad, and we can't really do much about it as a, it has to be tackled with a multi pronged approach. But herein, we are talking about a habit, vaping in this case, which could be a possible risk factor for so many other things, especially lung damage. So, your lungs are anyways getting damaged by breathing in this polluted air, and then on top of it you add another risk factor, and these things are totally modifiable. See, when we talk of any ailment, say cardiac disease or lung disease or cancer, we always talk about risk factors. So there are some risk factors which are modifiable, and there are some which are non modifiable, isn't it? So, herein we are talking about all these factors which are modifiable, like tobacco smoking, like air pollution, like possibly vaping, right? So, why unnecessarily, without any benefit, just for that little kick or pleasure, develop a habit and get into that chakravyuh, so as to say.
Yeah. So tell me these studies about, the air we're breathing is equivalent to these many cigarettes. How much do you actually believe in them? And like genuinely, like I don't have any problems. I've been living in Delhi since I was born. Is it 100% necessary that it's going to have to impact me?
Yeah, impact, yes. See, you have been born and brought up in Delhi, but the air quality wasn't so bad earlier. It has deteriorated over recent few years. So, when we were growing up, when our lungs were growing up, fortunately, during our childhood, the air quality wasn't so bad. Imagine the children who are getting born now when the air quality is so bad, and whose lungs will grow up breathing in this polluted air. Imagine what will happen to their lungs, isn't it? That's what is more scary, isn't it? So you, me, we have breathed in some good quality air over many decades. It's now that the quality has gone down, but obviously over the years, this small dose of PM 2.5, PM 10, and there are so many other things which come along with it. It's not just a matter of PM 2.5. We know there are so many other things in the polluted air, the VOCs, the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, benzene, isn't it? We breathe in all that. And therefore, you can't really avoid the ill effects,
Yeah.
isn't it? So,
Yeah.
why add
To the whole
additional
thing.
smoke
Yeah.
to it? Yeah.
Does it like very funny when I first discovered about tobacco being bad for you, and I was in school then, and I was very careful. If I smelled tobacco, I would just go away because it taught us about secondhand tobacco smoke. And then eventually I came to learn that weed is also not the best, especially the weed smoke that's been thrown out, the secondhand smoke. And I couldn't smell weed at all. I couldn't figure out what is the smell. So I actually trained myself to recognize this, and then I used to go away.
Okay.
It's been really funny. Once I was stuck in a bus going to Kasoli, and I was so sure it was weed, and I was getting like really stressed out. So I went and I made a big noise to the driver. I said, that man behind me, secondhand weed, I paid and all. I had this huge tamasha, and turned out it was methi paratha. It wasn't weed.
Okay.
So when I discovered about secondhand vape smoke, now this is what's worrying me the most. Okay, now I'm not playing devil's advocate. I'm just playing a really worried person. How on earth do I recognize what it smells like? And I can't because it'll smell like a coffee or a strawberry or like methi parathas. But it is bad for me, right?
Yeah.
Secondhand vape smoke.
So, if you want to be, as you said, you are very much health conscious individual. So, I think you should try to get away from all these, possible vapor
But
slash
how do you?
smoke. Then, as you rightly point out,
Yeah.
it's very difficult. And it's true that all these vapes do not contain nicotine. All of them. So, there can be different types of vapes, right? But we still can't say that some of them are safer than the others. We can't say, because even though they may not be causing cancer, they may not be causing some other side effect, but we know that the solvent, the liquid which is used most oftenly, the polyethylene glycol, so that itself, when vaporized, when enters the lungs, can cause inflammation. So lung damage over some periods of time because of chronic inflammation itself can be harmful. So it would be good to ideally stay away from all these vapors and smoke, ideally.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm going to manage that. It's something, the thought keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
I had a really funny conversation where we were trying to educate one of the younger kids in our household on vaping because he's in class ninth, and it's that time when you can get influenced and so on.
Right.
And in the end of it, he said, "But why do I need my lungs?" Very genuinely asked, "But why do I
Yeah.
need them?" And I thought, maybe that is a good question in case someone's watching and genuinely wants to know the importance of lungs, because he said, "I can just wear an oxygen mask and move around now. Like, what's wrong?"
Yeah, so child has asked a very pertinent question. So the answer is,
It's like a
yeah,
genius
see,
question.
yeah, because see, we are doctors. You are educated person who might have been interested in biology, learning about human body, but everybody may not be aware and is often not aware. So lungs, I would tell the audience, are two important, structures present in our chest cavity. One on the right side, one on the left side. You may take in the oxygen, but for it to enter our bloodstream and to be carried to different body parts, you need a very important function which is performed in lungs. So lungs are two very important, very vital organs of our human body, and you can't live without them. No one can live without them. We need them, because you know that what is life? It's between the journey between the first breath and the last breath. So that is life. So you need lungs to live. So they are that vital.
Yeah.
So you have to look after them.
And tell me very quickly, if I have popcorn lungs, how does it affect me?
So popcorn lungs will affect the air exchange, the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide across the air sacs, which are present in millions in the lungs on each side, and will not let you breathe, will lead to breathing difficulty, breathlessness, fatigue, exercise intolerance.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if I have COPD, then how does it affect my
So
day to day
same way,
life?
so COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, again the airways are narrowed, and there's a lot of resistance to the flow of air, and that's why we advise bronchodilators to dilate the passages and make air exchange, improve. So
And when you said inflammation, now, inflammation is notoriously something linked to COVID. I think that's
also
when we
COVID
all
also,
just
yes,
started realizing there is this term, outside of the medical fraternity. You
right.
would have known of it before. Um, what is inflammation in the lungs
So
because of, something like vape?
yeah, so inflammation occurs in response to something that your body has encountered. The immune cells and the inflammatory cells. Our body is beautiful. Human body is beautiful, really beautiful. And it has its own set of mechanisms, to deal with the foreign intruders, I would say. So these foreign intruders could be these chemicals that come through smoke or vape, and there could be some infections also. It could also be the PM 2.5, the ultra fine or very fine particles in the air that we breathe in. And these, the body then tries to contain them, mounts a reaction or response, and tries to contain them to a limited area. But that may not often or always be possible. And that inflammatory response, when goes on over many years, can lead to many, many, many problems.
Yeah. And, I think the last one, which is lung cancer, even I can share this very, very impactful experience I'd had where I'd gone into a children's ward, and we found, I think, 11 or 12-year-old with lung cancer. which was we'd gone in Bangalore at the I forget the name of the hospital, but it starts with K. It starts with K and Memorial
Kidwai Memorial.
Kidwai Memorial
Yes.
Hospital. There you go.
It must not have been the routine lung cancer,
It's
you know?
not.
Yeah.
It wasn't. But
Yeah,
oh
because at
my,
that age, you don't get so called smoke or smoking
it
related
was. I
lung
think they were
cancer.
investigating it as an like it was quite a big thing, and
Yeah.
it's a long time ago, and my God, like I'll never forget like seeing a child come out of chemo.
Yeah.
It and I thought that actually children are meant to be hardier, recover faster, and this was almost it was a good decade plus ago, and I remember even then thinking that if a child's body can't take it, my body and my budappa to will like completely fail on me. And now as I've been interacting more with
Yeah.
cancer patients, I'm really seeing how terrible a disease it is.
Yes. So therefore, I say, try to avoid all so-called modifiable risk factors. Do all that you can do as an individual to get away from all these possible risk factors. Keep yourself safe, because see, you can't change your genetic makeup. You are born with certain set of genes. You can't change your family history. But herein we are talking about the risk factors which are entirely under your control. The lifestyle that you choose to adopt, the habits that you form, the behavioral patterns that you make, isn't it? That's entirely under your control.
Yeah.
So, go for it. Go for healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, that's true. And to decide what's healthy, you should speak to a doctor, right?
Yeah, from time to time, do consult a doctor for the right information, and don't just rely on the social media for each and every piece of information. Whenever in doubt, it's always good to talk to someone who is expert in that field. So,
Yeah.
go to an expert and not Google everything out yourself.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank you.
this.
It was a pleasure talking to you.
I'm just going to wind up with a very funny thing we did this weekend with a friend of mine. We were outside a hospital, and she had, between the two of us, we had 1,500 rupees, and we were trying to decide where do we go and get coffee. And I don't know, for some reason, a thought struck me because both of us are nearing 37. And, evidently, this is when perimenopause may start. And we're outside a hospital. So I said, oh, let's go meet a gynecologist. And that's what we did. We just, because, and I had a really interesting argument, which I'm very proud of, where I said that why do we have to wait till we're sick to then go to her? Now, let's go before and let's learn now. And because we don't know, all I know is that there's something called perimenopause. It may or may not ruin my health. And everything else is, what the internet throws up at you, eat this antioxidant, that. I said, let me go to a person who has spent 15 to 20 years studying it and another 20 years practicing on it. Let me get wisdom now. And it was actually fun. And I
And
genuinely
so right,
recommend.
so
Yeah.
right. Prevention is better than cure
Yeah.
for each and every ailment.
It was great fun. We
Yeah.
had so go on a date,
Wise
meet a
decision.
doctor.
Yes.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating or a comment. And if you'd like to hear about any specific health issue, then you can write to us at pods@indiatoday.com or on 8588966996. And we're also there on practically every social media channel. So do reach out.